So, yeah, let's gather ourselves from the many star systems where we are, the many places and times, the many worries and concerns, the many stages of this lifetime that we are attached to and continue to relive subconsciously. Um, let's collect ourselves from all these places and free ourselves from having to relive anything for the moment. Whatever's weighing you down can be put aside for the moment. Even whatever's bringing you up can be put aside as well, unless you feel like having it with you. Welcome yourself into the here and now. Not just the physical place where you are, but the emotional state, the felt reality of being in the now. And your heart knows what that is. It's the only real place. All the other places are not so real. We invite ourselves to come into reality, into the now, into when and where you are. And anything that is meant to move with you is going to move with you. So you don't have to worry about hanging on to anything, because it'll be there if it's meant to be there. If it's authentically part of this moment. And as we ground here, our energy field naturally starts to expand a little bit, so that we're not just the boring, ordinary 3D person that we usually believe ourselves to be. But just by grounding in the now, we naturally start to expand into our more true self. Grounding in the field that is within your body and part of your body, but also extends beyond it. Finding ourselves nesting in the spirit. For me right now, this looks like a dusky green sphere extending around my physical body in all directions. Whatever it looks like or feels like to you is going to be fine. And we invoke the highest divine protection and divine guidance for our journey. We ask that we be protected from any negative influence and guided to that which is most appropriate for us individually and collectively at this time. And if you like, you can echo that intention, those intentions, to your spiritual guides who will be helping us along the way. But also notice if prayer takes you outside of your body or your experience a little bit, because it feels like that's true for some of us. So as we set our intentions, just remember that you get to stay in your body also. Your willpower is not something separate from you. It's integral to your spirit and to this experience that we're creating. Any other intentions you have are welcome. It could be spoken or silent, according to what you want. And we're continuing to ground in our light body, our spiritual form, our true form. For me, again, it's the spherical shape, which is slowly expanding. Now it's maybe 6 feet all around my body. It just started to rain here in New Orleans, sinking into some nice energy movement. So you can let your sphere be as big or as little as you're comfortable with in this moment. And remember, you get to stay in your body if you want to. You can also do this just astrally, but I prefer to stay in my body. Your true self, your essence of the now moment, continues to strengthen and expand. And let's find the places where our sphere, our Merkaba, our spirit, touches the aura of the earth, the spirit of the earth. So you can let your spiritual body and Earth's spiritual body start to touch and blend. For me, I just see that as the Earth having a gigantic version of the thing that I have. And those two spheres start to connect easily and naturally, like the wax balls in a lava lamp, just sort of touching, sharing boundaries, coming into one another. So your sphere touches the Earth's sphere, your aura touches the Earth's aura. And there's a channel opening between them, which is amorphous yet very, very strong. If you like, just take a few moments to feel the delight and satisfaction of doing this. This would be a great place in and of itself to spend very long periods of time. However, we can also feel our intention to journey into the earth moving inside of us, making the experience bigger, creating a karmic pull downward into the earth's body. So you can let yourself start to sink a little bit into the earth's body. And you're both sitting exactly where you are in whatever environment you're in physically, and at the same time, you're moving downwards. Easefully and naturally absorbed into the Earth's aura, gliding down. Perhaps the Earth's aura gets bigger and yours seems smaller as you move into it. Or maybe something else is happening which completely defies normal spatial relationships. Whatever it is, just go with it. Maybe you become the Earth. Maybe Earth becomes you. Continuing to move downwards. And you can see, sense, or feel yourself journeying through the miles that separate us and the civilizations inside the Earth. With a particular pathway being opened to those lands beneath the Gobi Desert. For most of us, that's almost directly on the other side of the Earth, so we can just go straight through. At the same time, it doesn't have to be rational nor linear. However it makes sense to you in this moment, find yourself being guided to where we intend to go. We're being met in some of the outer passageways by some guides from the Aghartan network. I perceive them as being illuminated by golden light, or almost this bronze copper colored light. You could see them however you see them, and it's also not important to see anything. Could just be felt or intuited. I'm being met by some of the gatekeepers of the outer passageways. These beings with coppery skin, a sort of golden aura. And they're welcoming us each individually inside. All that's required for entry is that you raise your vibration to a certain level. And it feels like everybody's doing this at a different pace. So if you're going right in, hang out for a bit and let's wait for the rest of the group to find their way in. If it's taking some time, be patient with yourself. And remember that all you have to do is let yourself be light. In my inner hearing, they're playing a sound which is kind of like the sound of bells. If that feels real or useful to you, you can tune into that sound. And if you allow your heart to attune to that sound, it will carry you through this gateway. Remember, there's nothing to fear, and you can bring all of yourself with you, all of yourselves. And now that the group is all here, we continue to move into some of the passageways further inside, passing through the outer gateways. For me, there are a few guides with us, guides from the Aghartan network. And to me, it looks like they have lamps lighting the way. These very beautiful torch lamps. It kind of looks like candles inside a glass holder, something to that effect. So you can see or feel this, or just move along with the group. We're being walked down these long earthen passageways by these coppery gold guides. I was asking for a name, and the person in the lead says they can be called Samael, Samael, if you want to use a name. So I'm going to call them that. Samael is in the lead with this lantern, and we're being led along these passageways. There are also guides behind us, a few to the sides. We're being looked after, protected. No harm can come to us. Everyone in this group is meant to be here. We continue to move through these passageways. If your rational mind is making any trouble for you, you can just gently remind it that this doesn't have to follow rational laws. And welcome it to become part of your experience. Continuing to move, we come to a gateway further inside. And this one, to me, looks silvery white in color. And it'll be easier to pass through than the first one because our vibration has already raised up so much. You might not even notice moving through it because it's so easy. We pass through the second gateway. There's no need to look back, although you can if you want to. No harm will come of it. You might see some of the guides bringing up the rear. Samael and the other guides are bringing us into this very large chamber. It's like two chambers that are connected to one another. You're welcome to just get a sense of the space. My inner child wants to just do silly things to see what the space is like, see if there's an echo. You can do whatever you're inclined to do. I'm like singing towards the ceiling to see if it'll echo. But whatever feels right to you is fine. And it feels like our group is being joined by some other groups coming from various places. I suppose this is a scheduled event in some sense. Some are from other parts of the inner earth. It's like they're, it's almost like they're a school group on a field trip. It feels like some other inner earth people, kids, or people that have a youthful vibe. They're coming with us. And a few others from various places. Feels like maybe we have 2 or 3 of these field trip type groups. Like their adolescents are at a similar vibrational level to surface adults. Feels like that's true. So we're matching vibrationally. And of course, there's no judgment attached to any of this. It's all light. You can feel our group getting a little bigger as the other groups and their guides arrive into this space. And the extra people can help you enter the experience more fully. You can just sort of ride the wave that the group creates. I'd say there are probably 30 or 40 other people with us now in terms of what I'm perceiving. You might perceive something completely different, and that's totally fine. So Samael is saying, our guide is saying to me that we asked to see Shambhala, so that's what we'll see. It looks like there are actually several cities that share that name. It's almost the name of a country more than the name of a particular city, to put it in surface terms. So it's a region. And we are roughly somewhere beneath the Gobi Desert in spatial terms. Kind of at the fringe of the Gobi Desert, close to the Himalayas, is where we'd be on the surface. And our journey continues. It looks like people are starting to file out, move forward to the next part. Again, it's kind of a large group now. They say they left the surface about 20,000 years ago. And their civilization predates Atlantis and Lemuria. They've been here for a very long time, although they were not always underground. They're very, very ancient. And they have served as guides to some of the other underground races who came more recently. If you're interested in this information, feel free to absorb it. If it's superfluous to your experience, you can just let it go. The group is moving forward, coming to the inner gates. And I get the impression that our experience might start to become more individual at this point. We might start to have very different individual experiences. I'm just going to try to keep talking for the group as a whole. And just trust that you'll be led to where you're meant to be. It might be with other members of the group, or it might be on your own. Wherever you go, whatever's happening, you are supported and cared for, and there's nothing in particular to worry about. So we're coming to the inner gates. And it looks like I'm going to be doing my own thing actually here. So I'm just going to let that happen. If your experience is like mine, you're probably going to feel some very interesting sensations in your heart. I want to call it an unburdening. Letting go of a bunch of crap that we carry around on the surface that we neither need nor want, especially where we are now. I'm going into a process that I don't know how to describe, so I'm just going to go there. It's kind of like being absorbed into a light field. And now I'm on the inside. I'm in the city that I was intending to visit. Agrila, they say it can be called. I guess that's related to Shangri-La or Shambhala, but they have, their name sounds a little different. Sounds like Agrila, Agrila. So that's where I am. I get the impression that some of us might be actually going to different places, but I'll just continue to describe my experience in case it's helpful. They're very beautiful buildings that almost look like, in terms of their design, they're like Siberian. I guess maybe that's a cultural influence, like Russian, Siberian, Tuvan, Mongolian. It kind of looks like that kind of architecture. There are these beautiful curving domes that come up to a point, like an elongated teardrop shape, and it's a little bit like some Russian Orthodox churches that I've seen in terms of the design. And I'm being taken to a library. Of course, that's where I'd go. Again, some of you might be going to other places. It's a very, very beautiful library. There are files that just come up with conscious intent. It's like they're files, but they're also just light, and you can use your mind to access different information. The library building has this clear crystal outer structure. It's like a lot of it is transparent. But at the top, it has these dark copper colored spires. I'm going to just be quiet for a bit so that people can have their own experiences. A question that's coming to mind that I think is relevant for the rest of the group is, what can we draw from this experience that will help us cut through the ignorance on the surface and live our lives there more gracefully? What can we bring back with us? What is for us to leave with? And that question might have a lot of answers, or you might want to ask it in a different way, but something like that. I'm enjoying the library very much. I'm receiving some information that I'm going to use for my poetry practice. Those of you that have creative pursuits, maybe there's something like that for you, or something for you as a healer, something to nurture your practice as. They tell me this building is 78,000 years old, which is kind of amazing. And it's not even one of the older ones. So again, just what can you draw from this to nurture your healing, your creativity, your relationships, your everyday life? Your job, whatever's wanting energy. Or it doesn't have to be serious. It could be something for your play. All of the above. Samael says, our guide says that we're going back pretty soon, which seems silly because we just got here, but oh well. They're saying that we have trouble integrating this high of a vibration, and it's best if we start with small amounts of exposure at first. So just see if there's anything further that you want to share with your guides or have them share with you. And remember that anything you experience here, you can always return to on your own, using the recording later, or however you want to do it with another group. So nobody's going anywhere. We'll be able to come back. Much against my inclination, I'm coming out of the library. And coming back to the outer gateway. And I'll ask that the rest of our group also find your way back to the inner gateway. Come back from your individual experience into the group experience. Yeah, and make sure you bring all of yourself. I know it's tempting to leave parts of your astral body here, but let's collect ourselves again. And meet up in the inner gateway space. And a couple of us are here, but we're going to wait for the rest of the group to come back. And we're going to transition. Oh, I didn't even know this is what happened, but apparently what happened is that when we move through the inner gateway, our normal astral body was kind of translated or transmuted temporarily into an Aghartan body or a light body. And what we're doing now is coming back to our astral bodies. Because we had to make another transformation to enter the city. So we're coming back to our usual energetic selves, or the astral version of that. Just make sure you're back in your astral body. or whatever language is right for you. Some people perceive this differently, but just come back to your energetic self. It feels like we don't need to take the same steps that we took to come here to go back. Going back is a little less elaborate. So it's basically up to the group if we can take the same steps to go back, or we can just kind of phase back in. I'm going to sit with that for a minute. Okay, Samael left the group and basically said it was whatever I wanted to do, so I'll just do a thing. You can find yourself starting to move upwards. From where we've been, deep inside the earth. Slowly, gracefully, naturally. And remember the way we got here by blending with the earth's aura. So we're still part of the earth at this point. Slowly coming up. And remembering that somewhere back before we started this journey, you had your own individual Merkaba, your individual spirit body. Seems funny now, to me anyway, to live in something so finite. But it's a healthy place to be. So we're drifting up, moving towards that version of experience. Now we're well on our way. The inner gate is behind us or below us, or whatever you want to see it as. Coming back towards the middle layers. I don't think we need to go back the same way, but if you find it comforting, you can go back the same way. It feels like we're just kind of drifting out of it more than following a passageway this time. So I would suggest just letting yourself drift. Slowly becoming aware again of your flesh and blood body. Coming up, starting to differentiate from the earth's body into your own body. So if you like, you can use the same image that we had before, where it's like a wax ball in a lava lamp, and there's a smaller sphere separating from a bigger sphere. And the bigger sphere is earth, the smaller sphere is your individual light body. Slowly moving upwards. Could be upwards, outwards, just back to your physical experience, 3D experience. We just passed the layer where the outer gateway was. And the guides from Agrila send their blessing with us. We're back on our own, so to speak. Drifting towards conscious awareness. Letting yourself be unhypnotized or just come out of trance into ordinary awareness. Again, some of us are going to come back more quickly than others, so let's hang out and let everybody arrive. Find yourself identifying with your body again, or more. Remembering your 3D human experience, letting that be your primary experience. Feel free to move around, have some water, do whatever you want to do. And for those who want it, there's a bit of assistance offered from our guides to help us blend back into a 3D vibration. So feel free to take advantage of that. If you like, you can also just move a little energy from the soles of your feet through your body up through the crown of your head. Just kind of refresh yourself. My inner child is saying all that, and we were only there for a few minutes. Like, ugh.